She silently loves you unconditionally. If she does this. Listen, most men are completely blind to the woman who's already fallen for them. They're out here chasing attention, chasing validation, chasing someone who barely texts back. Meanwhile, there's a woman right in front of them giving signs so quiet, so subtle, that they miss it completely. And by the time they realize what they had, she's already moved on. I'm going to show you the real signs. A woman loves you unconditionally. Not the Hollywood version, not the Instagram fantasy. The actual, quiet, consistent behaviors that reveal a love most men never recognize until it's too late. Because here's what most guys don't understand. A woman who truly loves you doesn't announce it with fireworks. She shows it in 1,000 tiny ways that fly completely under your radar. And if you can't see these signs, you're about to lose something most men spend their whole lives searching for. So let's get into it. The silent signs she's all in. And why you need to wake up before you lose her. The painful reality most men miss. Picture this. She remembers everything you've ever told her. The small details. The throwaway comments. That thing you mentioned once 3 months ago. She asks how your day went and actually listens to the answer. She notices when your energy is off before you've said a word. And yet, you're still not sure if she's into you. Here's the truth. Men are conditioned to look for the loud signals, the dramatic confessions, the grand gestures. But a woman who loves you unconditionally operates differently. She's not trying to impress you. She's not performing for your attention. She's building something real. And real love is quiet. It doesn't need validation. It doesn't need an audience. It just shows up, day after day, in ways so consistent that you start taking them for granted. And that's the danger. Because the moment you stop noticing, you stop appreciating. And the moment you stop appreciating, you risk losing the one thing money can't buy. So here's what you need to watch for. Because these signs don't lie. Sign number 1. She protects your peace. Before we go deeper, do me a favor. Hit that like button if this is already resonating. What's coming next will change how you see the women in your life. Let's keep going. Here's the first sign, and it's one most men completely overlook. She protects your peace. What does that mean? She doesn't start drama. She doesn't create unnecessary stress. She doesn't test you with mind games or emotional manipulation. When you're around her, you feel calm, steady, like you can breathe. She's not adding chaos to your life. She's creating space for you to be yourself. And here's the key detail. She does this even when she's upset. Even when she has every right to explode, she chooses communication over conflict. Why? Because she values the relationship more than being right. She'd rather solve the problem than win the argument. Most women will demand your attention through drama, but a woman who loves you unconditionally gives you something far more valuable. Stability. And in a world that's constantly pulling you in 1,000 directions, that peace is priceless. Sign number 2. She celebrates your wins like they're her own. Here's where you see the difference between someone who likes the idea of you and someone who genuinely loves you. When you succeed, she's the first one celebrating, not with envy, not with competition, with pure, genuine excitement. Your promotion at work? She's proud. Your progress at the gym? She notices. That project you've been grinding on? She asks about it. And here's the thing most men miss. She celebrates the small wins too, not just the big, Instagram-worthy moments. The day you finally fixed that thing you've been putting off. The moment you stood up for yourself in a tough situation, the progress no one else sees. She sees it. And she's your biggest cheerleader. Because a woman who loves you unconditionally isn't competing with you. She's rooting for you. Your success doesn't threaten her. It fuels her. And that kind of support? That's rare. Sign number 3. She shows up when it's inconvenient. Anyone can be there when it's easy. When the sun is shining and everything's going well. But a woman who loves you unconditionally? She shows up when it's hard, when you're sick and not looking your best, when you're stressed and not fun to be around, When you're broke and can't take her anywhere fancy, she's still there. Not because she has to be, not because she's hoping for something in return, but because she genuinely cares about your well-being. She brings you food when you're overwhelmed with work. She sits with you in silence when you don't want to talk. She holds space for your worst days without judgment. And here's the contrast. Most people in your life are there for the highlight reel. They show up when you're winning, when you're entertaining, when you have something to offer. But she's there for the behind the scenes, the unglamorous, messy human moments. That's not obligation. That's love. Sign number 4. She fights for the relationship, not against you. Here's a big one. When conflict happens, and it will, watch how she handles it. A woman who loves you unconditionally doesn't weaponize your vulnerabilities. She doesn't bring up past mistakes to win current arguments. She doesn't threaten to leave every time things get tough. Instead, she fights for the relationship. She says we instead of you versus me. She looks for solutions instead of blame. She's willing to compromise, to listen, to grow. And most importantly, she doesn't keep score. She forgives. Not because she's weak, but because she understands that real relationships require grace. Most people will punish you for being human, but she creates a safe space where you can be imperfect and still be loved. That's the difference between someone who's with you for convenience and someone who's committed for real. Sign number 5. She invests in your future, not just your present. Pay attention to this one. A woman who loves you unconditionally isn't just focused on what you can do for her today. She's thinking about who you're becoming tomorrow. She encourages your growth. She supports your goals. She pushes you to be better, not because you're not enough, but because she sees your potential. She's learning about your interests. She's building connections with your family. She's making plans that include you months and years down the line. And here's the subtle sign most men miss. She invests her time in understanding you deeply, your fears, your dreams, your past. Not to judge you, but to know you. Because surface-level attraction fades, but deep understanding, that builds something that lasts. When a woman is genuinely invested in your future, she's not just along for the ride. She's actively helping you build the life you want. And that level of partnership is something most men search their whole lives for. Sign number 6. She loves you at your worst. Here's the ultimate test. Anyone can love you when you're confident, successful, and on top of the world. But who's there when you fail? When you're insecure? When you're dealing with your demons and not showing up as your best self? A woman who loves you unconditionally doesn't bail when things get real. She sees your flaws and doesn't run. She sees your struggles and doesn't judge. She sees your darkness and doesn't turn away. Not because she's a savior, but because she understands that loving someone means loving all of them. The good, the bad, and the complicated. And here's what that looks like in real life. She's patient with your healing. She's gentle with your insecurities. She doesn't use your weaknesses against you when she's angry. That's the kind of love that transforms you, because when someone loves you at your worst, it gives you the safety to become your best. Here's what you need to do right now. If you have a woman in your life doing even half of these things, stop taking her for granted. Stop looking for something better. Stop wondering if the grass is greener. Stop waiting for some perfect fantasy that doesn't exist, because what you have is rare. Unconditional love isn't loud. It doesn't demand credit. It doesn't need constant validation. It just shows up, quietly, consistently, even when it's not appreciated. And if you're smart, you'll recognize it before it's gone. Start noticing the small things. Start appreciating the effort. Start protecting the one person who's been protecting you all along. Tell her you see her. Thank her for the things she does that no one else notices. Show her that her love isn't invisible. Because here's the reality. A woman who loves unconditionally will stay longer than she should. She'll give more than she receives. She'll hold on when others would have let go. But even unconditional love has limits. And if you keep taking without giving, one day you'll wake up and she'll be gone. Not because she stopped loving you, but because she finally learned to love herself more. Don't let that be your story. If this hit different, drop a comment with the word grateful so I know you're paying attention to what really matters. And hit that subscribe button because we're just getting started.